It is Marcus Shilkunis on the left-hand side. It's Luna Flusha on the right as we look at them into the tram lines. Lights go green. Here we go. Great start from the inside row once again, but keep an eye on Flusha. Round the outside, she goes wheel to wheel with Philippe Caris and slams that door closed into P2. Gets up into that second place spot, but again, trying to defend and attack that position. You lose time to Shilkunis, who breaks away ahead. There's cuts off at turn number 3, and unfortunately, it's Lachlan Hennock who's off there, Peyton Westcott and Isaac Demelweek, who have all been caught out in that incident at turn number 3. You can see there that was Peyton Westcott trying to get it restarted. You only get one attempt, and unfortunately, out of this race goes all 3 of them. That is a big shame. The race continuing, though. The marshals already clearing the track nicely. Brilliant work by them. And it is still Marcus Shilkunis who leads the way as the drivers make their way out of the chicane for the first time in this race. It is Shilkunis from Flusha. Then it's Philippe Caris, Hugo Heron from Motlaka, Rafalik, Gale, Norris. Then it's Voda, Lambert, and then Jean Caris in P11 as Luna Flusha holds on to second place. Oh, that was a moment there for Philippe Caris. A mistake, and now Hugo Heron can close in, and now he does go for the move. He makes an advantage there with that slight mistake from Philippe Caris after he clipped that curb at the exit of turn 4. And now Hugo Heron is up into P3. Down the inside, Ghazi Motlaka goes through as well. Motlaka looking much stronger in this qualifying heat. And this time around, keeping it nice and clean, not getting caught out from the edge of the circuit. Ghazi Motlaka, who has had a really good start to his season, actually scored really good points at Cremona. Big send down the inside there for Brodie Norris, the Australian, now up into P7, getting past Voda, but I think Voda fighting back there. Gale there in 9th place from Charles Lambert. Caris is now in 11th place from Nassar Benoldi, in 13th place from Alatamea. Here's the start of the race. We go on board with Hugo Heron, I believe, here as he tries to go wheel to wheel with Luna Flusha. Keep an eye on Flusha on the outside line here and just see how close they get in towards turn 1. Oh, how close. In fact, it was so close there was a little bit of contact between the two of them. Amazingly, it was front wheel onto side pod. So they got away with that. You can see the debris that's being kicked up there, the marbles that close in, but superb driving from the top 4 there. Very close, but very, very fair. Now, well, with Hugo Heron getting up into 3rd place, he's dropped off the back. Luna Flusha has been given some clean air now to attack Marcus Shilkunis. And, well, Luna Flusha, purple sector 1 and purple sector 2, sets the fastest lap of the race. 55.780 for Luna Flusha across the line on that last one. I think she's said to herself, right, I think I'm going to deploy a little bit more tyre in this one and try and close up to Shilkunis. And you can see here, this time around, it's only 0.3 of a second, the gap compared to what it was earlier on in their first qualifying heat. It's a carbon copy of what we saw. Shilkunis leading from Flusha, but Flusha this time around is not wanting to sit behind Marcus Shilkunis. She will try and close back in. And on there in 3rd place now is kind of in a no man's land, not close to these two up ahead. Will not have the pace, I don't think, to close up. I'm looking at the sectors, and all 3 sectors right now, as good as they are just fractionally slower than these two up ahead. So I don't think Hugo Heron, despite 2 places gained, I don't think he'll close in to this battle here. Flusha, though, trying to maintain that pace. Again, another fastest lap of the race, 55.721. Can imagine the mechanic there at the sidelines keep saying to push. This is Hugo Heron on board with. You can see there how much physicalness is put on that wheel. You can see they're going into there. You don't usually turn the steering wheel too much, but you can see here now that the tyres are starting to degrade a little bit. You can see a little bit of graining on the edge of the tyre there. It's very coarse tarmac here at Valencia. It's very harsh on the tyre, especially through some of the sectors. So drivers really do have to pay attention to how much degradation they are putting through those tyres right now. Philippe Caris is still in P4, but he is at the front of this train here, which then has Maximilian Rafalik and Ghazi Motlaka there just behind. There's action on the start-finish straight. I heard some wheels squeaks there on the start-finish line, but everyone's still running at the moment. Gilkunis sets the fastest lap of the race now. He's starting to break away once more from Luna Flusha. The gap is up to 0.4 of a second, but action happening all the way throughout. And I'm hearing confirmation there from marshals out on track that there was actually a little bit of contact on the start-finish line there between a couple of drivers. Now, which is why you may have heard a bit of tyre squeal there on the start-finish line. That's a very scary situation to be in. Remember, drivers peaking around 130 kilometres an hour into the braking zone here, as well as down in towards turn 1. Charlotte Page, unfortunately, has just received a warning flag in this race. The driver from Australia will not be liking that at all. That comes with a 5-second undisputed in-race time penalty. Race continuing then. We're on lap 7 at the moment. 11 laps of this race. And Gazi Motlaka, we continue to watch here in P6. Wojciech Roda, who has closed in. Roda, who's up 2 places in this race, had a good result earlier on, wanting to capitalise on the momentum that he's had so far today after qualifying. Well, let's see if we can try and get past here. Back at the front. We'll keep an eye on the gap here. It's back to 0.4 of a second. It is still relatively close. Let's see what it is now when they cross the line. It's 0.4 right now, 0.415. It now changes to 4.54 now, so it does open up a little bit more. There's yellow flags on the back straight and a driver tumbling down the order. And I believe it is the driver from Thailand, Austin Gale, I think is out of this race and is off the track on the back straight in towards turns 15 and 16. There is Gale. Now that is a very, very fast part of the circuit. If he went off there, that is a scary moment for him, but you can see that he's absolutely distraught there. Is Austin Gale, not enjoying this race at all, and he will have to sit this one out for the remainder of it. We're on lap 8 right now. And Flusha again is controlling this gap. It's fluctuating a little bit. It's back to less than 0.4 of a second. But what is it now as they cross the line? You see it goes back up to 4. So again, it's just ping-ponging right now. It's going back and forth. Gilkunis sets the fastest lap of the race. Then Flusha sets the fastest lap of the race. They're just bouncing off each other. These two, when they come to that final, it's all going to be about these two, I think. If it goes well at the start, it'll just be a 2-kart race, I think, but we'll have to see what happens in that final, because Flusha, who has not yet lost a final this season, I suspect does not want to start losing finals, especially in her home country of Spain. Gilkunis leads the way still, controlling the gap ahead of Flusha. Heron still there in 3rd place, is 2 seconds down the road from these two. You can see him there, but a second clear from Felipe Caras, who's there in P4. The top 4 relatively spread out at the moment. Rafalek still in P5 ahead of Gazi Motlaka and Wojciech Roda. Let's look a little further down in the order. Has there been any big movers in this race? George Nassar, who's up 6 places, is leading the 8th place battle that goes from 8th all the way down to P14. Then you have Roman Assar, who's closing in on Truly Adams. He's up 8 positions. Adams, who's also up 4 positions in this race. Alessandro Biggie's gained 5 places. Daniel Perez has gained 8 places up into 21st place from Prix Trevino. He's gained 5 and is up into P23. This is the view from Hugo Heron, and a look at the gap between him and current race leader Marcus Gilkunis, 2.2 seconds. And well, there's nothing more disheartening than, you thinking, I'm going as fast as I can right now. I'm really pushing as hard as I can. You can see that. You know that's happening because he's tucking in behind the steering wheel. He's trying to get everything he can out of his kart, and he's just not closing in. If anything, he's dropping back into the group just behind. Final lap board goes out then. We are on lap 11 now, and Marcus Gilkunis has extended that lead just that little bit more to 0.6 of a second. With the no battling he's done a good job looking after those tyres. He's babysitted them well, and hopefully he can deploy them a little bit harder in that final. I'm sure he hopes, but if he's used them too much, he may struggle a little bit in that final later on today. Flusha there in 2nd place, has had a brilliant task ahead of her in this one. She can probably just bring it back a little bit here now. She doesn't need to worry about anything from behind, and I think she's going to check behind now, and I think, yeah, she's really pulled it off now. She's not going to run too hard through this one. Save the tyres as much as you possibly can and just nurse the cart to the end. Marcus Shilkunas takes his second win of the day and 25 championship points at the end of the qualifying heats phase. That helps him out in the championship standings. It puts him on pole, and it puts him in a position where he could potentially come away with his first final win of the season. These two started on the front row together in the first final at Cremona. It ended in tears for Marcus Shilkunas after a racing incident between the two of them, both trying to go for the inside line, where he was speared off the circuit, unfortunately, at Cremona. But this time around, he is looking for redemption after scoring no points in that first final at Cremona, to the good results yesterday in third in that final. But he is looking for a race win later on today. It's Marcus Shilkunas who wins the qualifying heats phase ahead of Luna Flusha. Hugo Heron finishes in third place and rounds out the top three in the intermediate classification as well. So for that one, it's Shilkunas and Flusha who will start on the front row for the final, with Heron and Philippe Carras on row number 2. We'll go over that a little bit more later on. Let's go through the full lineup at the end of that one. Heron the top 3, Rafalek finishing in P4 from Philippe Carras, Gazi-Motlaka finishing in P6, good result, didn't gain or didn't lose any places. Wojciech Woda getting 2, finishing in P7 ahead of George Nassar, 6 places gained. Jean Carras finishes in P9. That is an improvement from earlier on, ahead of Pip Casabene, who gained 5 places to finish in the top 10. Bernardo Bonaldi finishing in 11th place from Zajelski in 12th. Then it's Charles Lambert from Brody Norris. Elizaveta Kozlova rounds out the top 15, ahead of Adams, Nassar, Latamea from Bonda, Biggie, Perez, Page, Trevino, Sador, Sanfari, and Genesis in the 26 finishers. The retirements: Austin Gale, Lachlan Hennock, Peyton Westcott, and Isaac de Melweek from that race. But here, Marcus Shilkunas, that is job done up until that final later on today. You can find that one on track at 4 o'clock, so make sure you do set your alarms. Let's have a look at the highlights from that race. Nice clean getaway at the front of the grid. It was at the further end, the middle way part of the pack that saw drama at turn number 3. This on board the view from Hugo Heron, who started this race at P5, finished in P3. Watch him here on the inside line here. You can see the marbles there getting flicked off through turn number 1. The contact there between Flusha, just that slight bit of contact there, and the marbles everywhere in the air. So certainly becomes a challenge for the drivers, with the distraction of all of that hitting your visor while going in towards turns 1 and 2. But Flusha getting up into second place and holding on to a big hit of the curbs there going into turn number 3. You don't want to hit the exit curb on that one, though, because that could take a chain off. Here was the same position from another angle, and you could just see just squeezing into P4 there for Hugo Heron. That was the carnage that unfolded just behind Lachlan Hennock. Then it was Peyton Westcott and de Melweek. You could see there Westcott trying to get it restarted. Only the one attempt, obviously, that's allowed. And it didn't go well, unfortunately, out of the race. Race continued, and no other retirements until, of course, later on, where we saw Austin Gale retire out in spectacular fashion on the back straight. This moment here, down the inside, beautifully timed for Hugo Heron after the mistake from Rafalek. Just went in a little bit too deep in through turn 3, lost the exit speed. Gazi-Motlaka managing to get through as well. He got up into a nice running spot there off P4. Did drop back, though, to P6, but still a very good race nonetheless. Shilkunas controlling the race throughout that one and takes the win at the end of it. 25 championship points, provisionally, of course, and of course, pole position for that final.